What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel, and today, hang on a second, because I hear some of you out there may be a little bit confused. Nate, isn't this a college football channel? Well, yes, that is the main focus of this channel. I've released March Madness predictions in the past, and I figured why not? I'm a huge football guy. I do watch the NFL every Sunday and Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, all those good things. Let's go ahead and give my predictions on what I think is going to happen in the NFL playoffs, as the road to Super Bowl 58 in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas is going to be a very good one and a very interesting one. Can't wait to dive on into my playoff predictions. But before I do that, just wanted to say thank you for all the support the channel saw in 2023. It was a huge year for me, and I want 2024 to be even bigger. This will probably be the only NFL video I upload on the channel at least this year. And then moving forward, if you guys want to see me do content on the UFL, let me know in the comment section down below. That is the spring league that I believe is going to be starting in either late March or early April. But again, as I said in my intro, this is a college football channel, and if you guys are just stumbling upon to this channel and you want to stick around and hear all my thoughts on the college football world, got a lot of fun videos planned up until now in preseason predictions that are going to start somewhere in late May, June. Haven't quite nailed down that calendar yet. Please support the channel in any way you can. Obviously, the big way is subscribing and ringing the bell. Watching the videos is another huge way to support the channel, and anything else you do to interact supports, or I should say anything else you do to interact with the channel helps support it, liking, commenting, sharing, and so much more. Thank you guys for all that you do in supporting this channel. But I've stalled long enough, haven't I? This intro's been long enough. Let's get into my predictions. Starting out with the AFC on the left-hand side of your screen, my Cleveland Browns. Yes, I am a Brownies fan, back in the playoffs, playing the Houston Texans. And both of these teams are playing with house money. Let's start with the home team in the Houston Texans. What a season it has been for Houston. Back in the playoffs, I think for the first time since 2019. CJ Stroud, probably your offensive rookie of the year, and a really, really good quarterback. He's going to be an absolute phenom for years to come. He's going to be a really good player. Will Anderson is also really developed on that defensive end. Probably your offensive and defensive rookie of the years right there. And this is the Texans team that has balled out this year. They signed Devin Singletary, so the run game has been there, but it's mainly been CJ Stroud and this core of wide receivers led by Nico Collins. You're going to have to get John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson a little bit more involved, as we don't quite know if Noah Brown or Robert Woods is going to be playing here in this wild card game. Now, either of those two are going to be huge gets. And when you move over to the defensive side, you have some really good players in that front seven. Jonathan Greenard had 12.5 sacks this year. He has dealt with some injuries as well. He's missed the last 2 games, so we'll see if he is ready to go. But as I've mentioned, Will Anderson, Jerry Hughes, those are some guys that have played really, really well for this Texans team this year. However, this team is very vulnerable in the secondary, which exactly is what helped Cleveland beat this Houston team in the regular season. Yes, these two teams did play in the regular season. Joe Flacco went off and Amari Cooper went off. Now, Amari Cooper is dealing with that heel injury. Of course, Cleveland locking up the 5 seed rested him. So we figure he's going to be healthy and ready to go there as well. Myles Garrett technically was ruled out due to a shoulder injury, but we know the impact that he can have as well. This is the Browns team with a really good defensive front, a really, really good secondary, and if the Browns can just get some guys back and get healthy, if Amari Cooper is going to be running at full strength, if Myles Garrett's going to be running here at full strength, I think CJ Stroud and company are going to be able to make some plays. I think this is too explosive of an offense, especially through the air, to be able to slow down each and every drive. However, saying that, this Browns defense is electric. It is really, really good. It is one of the tops in the NFL at forcing takeaways. Probably you could argue why it has one of, if not the best secondaries in football. You have a defensive player of the year candidate in Myles Garrett. And what happened in their last game was Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper were really able to hit it home. I think the Cleveland Browns are going to go on the road and beat the Houston Texans in that wild card matchup. Now, obviously, I'll reveal the matchups once I predict the rest of the games here. But let's dive on into the Dolphins and Chiefs. This one, I think, going to be another very, very fascinating game. Now, the Dolphins, of course, just fell short of winning that division. The loss in the final week of the season to the Buffalo Bills slid them down to the 6th seed, where they will match up with the AFC West champs in the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, we'll start out with the Chiefs here, because this is the team that not really sure what to make of them so far this year. Obviously, we know Patrick Mahomes is great, and Isaiah Pacheco has been running really, really well, and this is a run game that has been able to mix it in. But besides Travis Kelce in this past game, this is a wide receiver core that has really struggled, and I believe still leads the NFL in dropped passes. Rashee Rice, Kadarius Toney, MVS. This is just a wide receiver core that underperforms and is not really the standard that we have seen the Chiefs perform at in years past, especially even when you take a look at last year, where you could say the wide receiver core took a hit from previous years, and the Chiefs were still able to go win a Super Bowl last year. Now, the Miami Dolphins, however, they have an absolutely electric offense led by Tua Tagovailoa. You have Tyreek Hill there as well. Now, Raheem Mostert has missed the final 2 games. We'll see if he's going to be able to play here. If not, Devon Achane has really taken over. He's been a huge spark to this offense. We'll see if Jalen Waddle is going to be ready to go to play in this game as well. But you take a look on the other side of the ball, defensively for Miami, I think this is what seals it for me. The Chiefs have some pretty solid defensive players led by Chris Jones. They're going to be able to get pressure and I think make some stops here and there. Now, again, it could not be enough to slow down this Miami offense in full, but I think with how beat up this Dolphins team is defensively, Andrew Van Ginkel went down. Of course, we know that Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb are out for the season. Jerome Baker is going to be out. Xavier Howard, we don't know if he is going to be ready to go. There's just too many hurt pieces on this defensive end, and I think the Chiefs will be moving on to play in the AFC divisional round. And when you look at your last matchup in the AFC, I don't really think I have to talk about this one too much. Now, the Steelers are a team that always seems to find their way into the playoffs. They're going to be without their best player here in this game, and that is TJ Watt. He had a grade 2, MCL sprain, and he's not going to be ready to go. He's not going to be playing here in this game. And the Bills have just been on a heater as of late. They have won, I believe, 5 of their last 6 of their last 7, something like that. And there have been some guys dealing with some injuries here and there, as Gabe Davis is trying to deal with a PCL sprain. But this defense is finally back healthy. It is playing really, really well. They were able to stifle this Miami Dolphins attack pretty effectively. And with the way that Josh Allen and company are playing offensively, as long as you don't turn the football over against this Pittsburgh squad, Pittsburgh's going to be able to grind out some drives here. I think they're going to score some points, but I see this one being a complete and total mismatch, as I like the Bills to move on to that divisional round. So with all that said, the Browns, the Chiefs, and the Bills winning, this is what the bracket would look like after you reseed. Obviously, the 1 seed in the Baltimore Ravens, the best team in the NFL considered by many, would get the lowest seed. That would mean they get the Cleveland Browns. Now, we'll preview these matchups later, but let's move over to the other side and let's talk about the NFC wildcard matchup, starting out with the 4 and the 5 as we did over there. Let's start with the Bucs and the Eagles. This is going to be an absolutely fascinating game. The Eagles could not have looked better to start this season. They started 10-1, and everybody figured that this is a team that you could already lock in to that number 1 seed. Didn't end up playing out that way. Now did it? The Eagles absolutely imploded. They lost 5 of their last 6, and they are sitting here in a wild card spot with that 5 seed. Now, when you take a look at what the Eagles are really dealing with, yes, there are a lot of injuries that you have to take into factor, right? Jalen Hurts, I believe, broke his middle finger. A.J. Brown suffered a knee injury. Devontae Smith has been dealing with an ankle injury, and a ton of players on that defensive side are beat up here as well. Now, the Eagles still have as much talent as anybody in football, but with the way that this team has played down the stretch and with all the injuries building up, it's not looking good. However, they're facing a Bucs team with some injuries of their own. Now, everyone on the Bucs 53-man roster entered week 18 healthy. This was a fully healthy team, and winning that game was going to solidify them a spot in the playoffs. And Baker Mayfield has been playing really, really well for this Tampa Bay team all year. This is a secondary that has played really well all season long as well. However, their quarterback Baker Mayfield was on the injury report due to a rib injury. Probably don't know if he's going to be fully 100% ready to go in this game. So with both quarterbacks a little bit hobbled here, I think I'm going to go with the more talented team. Now, can the Buccaneers win this game? Yes, absolutely. There's a million different ways that Tampa Bay can come out here on top. But I think people are doubting Philadelphia a little bit too much here, and I think that this talented Philadelphia team, with how beat up they are, I think are going to grind out one playoff win at least. And I think they do get by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in the wild card round. Now, it's going to be a very hard fought, and I think it's going to be a very fun game, but I do think the Eagles will survive in the end, and I do think they move on to the divisional round. Again, we'll show matchups later, but let's preview what possibly is going to be the best game of the wild card round, and that is the LA Rams and the Detroit Lions. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun game. And think about the storyline in this game as well. You go back 3 or 4 seasons now, can't quite remember, but you go back a little bit. The first ever quarterback for quarterback trade in NFL history, Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff switched places. And hey, it has worked out for both teams. The LA Rams used Matt Stafford to go win a Super Bowl, and now they are back in the playoffs, and they have looked like one of the most dangerous teams in football. But how about the story of the Detroit Lions this year, huh? First ever NFC North title. They are here as the 3 seed with a home field playoff game, and it's against the team that you probably don't want to face. When you take a look at these two teams, from an aspect of what are they, right? What do they play like? Well, the Rams obviously have a ton of weapons, right? And mainly through the air, through that pass game. Now, obviously, Tyler Higbee, we'll see if he's ready to go, but a ton of weapons out there. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua's put together a phenomenal rookie season. It's a Rams offense. It's playing really well. It's a Rams defense that has been up to code this year as well. And playing this Detroit team, well, is not going to be easy. And I do think Detroit ends up winning this game. Now, I know Jameson Williams has been inactive for the past couple of weeks. Sam Laporta is not expected to play there in that game either. But I think Jared Goff and this Lions offense is going to string together enough possessions. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's an absolute stud in that backfield. I think the Lions are going to make enough offensive plays, and I think this defense, I think a lot of people don't give this defense enough credit. A lot of people looking at this offense, it obviously is what drives this Detroit team. You have a pretty darn good offensive system. However, defensively, they've acquitted it to how good will Aiden Hutchinson play? How good will Brian Branch play? There's a lot of phenomenal players on the defensive side of the ball. I think they come up with an extra stop to be able to seal this game. This is going to be a fun one from Detroit, but I'm thinking the Lions are going to pull through here, and they will get the win against the Los Angeles Rams, which leads us to our final wild card matchup, which is the Packers and Cowboys. I don't think I have to talk too much about this one either, but given the track record of the Cowboys in the playoffs, and knowing what the Packers can do, this one can definitely be interesting. Now, when you take a look at the Packers, this is definitely a team that has been up and down all season long, and it really depends on how well this offense is moving, particularly on the ground. When A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are running really well, Jordan Love can compensate, right? And he's a very good quarterback at being able to hit his guys. Now, obviously, he hasn't had Christian Watson for the better part of 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks now. Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed have had to step up. Romeo Doubs left the game on the first drive after suffering a chest injury, not looking good for him to play. This is just a team that's been really depleted at the wide receiver position, which is not their strong suit anyway, and the defense has been up and down all season. And this is the Dallas team that probably has the best defense in the NFL, or at least I should say has one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player in the NFL, at least this season, in Micah Parsons. Bland leads the NFL in picks, I believe with 9 of them. And this is just a Cowboys team that is running really well offensively. Dak Prescott has been able to find CeeDee Lamb, who for the better part of this season, yes, you could argue Tyreek Hill has looked like the best wide receiver in football. And this Cowboys team playing at home is different than when they play on the road. They are a dynamic, dynamite team at home, and I think they get by the Green Bay Packers fairly easily in that matchup, which, with, again, the 5-3-2 winning just like the AFC and the NFC for me, there are your divisional matchups. We're going to go back over to the side of the AFC, had to point the right direction to get my divisional round predictions. And now we finally get to talk about the number one overall seed in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens. And for the most part this season, this team has looked like the best in football. Lamar Jackson is probably going to win the MVP. He has a ton of absolutely phenomenal weapons. And you take a look at what this Ravens team has done all season long. They are really, really good defensively. Believe they're the best rush defense in the NFL. They have a ton of really, really good defensive backs there as well, led by Kyle Hamilton. And offensively, along with Lamar Jackson, the rush game can be pretty solid, even though, again, it has been beat up this year with J.K. Dobbins going down again. However, the run game has really been able to find it. Lamar Jackson's been a stud this year, and this is just a wide receiver core that has been one of the best in football. You take a look at guys like Odell Beckham Jr., Zay Flowers, and a ton of other phenomenal weapons. Even with Mark Andrews going down, Isaiah Likely has really stepped up and played phenomenal football. Now, when you take a look at this Ravens and Browns matchup, it's going to be very intriguing. Two offenses that are playing really, really well down the stretch, and two defenses that you could look across the entirety here, and you can make the case why these are the best two defenses that we will see in the NFL playoffs, at least when you take a look at statistically. Now, this being a divisional game, I think it's going to be a hard-fought matchup. And as much as I would like to see my Brownies win this game, I don't think it is going to happen. I think the Ravens with Lamar Jackson are just too good. I think Lamar Jackson's going to be able to run, make that extra play, and the Ravens just are not as turnover prone as the Browns are, which is why I think that the Browns will see their postseason end here. The Ravens will move on to the AFC Championship game, where they will face the winner of the Chiefs and Bills. How do these two teams always find a way to meet in the playoffs? I tell you, it's just becoming an absolute saga, a rivalry of sorts, if you will. And this is where I think the road of the Kansas City Chiefs ends, mainly because I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to do everything that he needs to do in this game to get by the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is playing really, really well. Defensively, I think they're going to be able to lock down these Kansas City wide receivers. That, again, it's a very subpar wide receiver room. And when you take a look at what the Bills have been playing like as of late, especially with Josh Allen, as long as in the postseason he can limit these turnovers, the Buffalo Bills are going to make a lengthy postseason run. And so there you have it. I have the Ravens and Bills moving on here to play in the AFC Championship game. Again, to recap, I think the Ravens are just a little bit too explosive. And with the way that both these defenses are able to create turnovers, the Browns are just a more turnover-prone offense, which is the fact of the matter, why I think the Ravens win. And I just don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to do everything he needs to do to single-handedly get by the Buffalo Bills, which he may need to do along with him and Travis Kelce, Chris Jones on the defensive end. So there's your AFC Championship game. Let's get to your NFC Championship game as well, the 49ers and Eagles. Now, I will put it plain and simple here. If the Rams are able to get by the Detroit Lions, they more likely than not, unless the Packers were to pull off a shocking upset against the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to get two divisional matchups there. At least I see it. I do see the Eagles being able to get by that Rams-Lions game as a true coin toss for me. If the Rams are able to get by the Lions and they're going to go play the San Francisco 49ers, that's going to be a really rough game there for San Francisco. It's just a matchup in which the Rams can really beat them up. But that's not the way I see it playing out. I obviously see them playing the Philadelphia Eagles. And do I have to remind you what happened when the Eagles and Niners played earlier this season? It was not good for the Philadelphia Eagles, and especially now that this team is a little bit more beat up. They don't have they're not really going to be running here at full strength. Philadelphia at full strength is one of the most talented teams in football. But when you take a look at this 49ers team, Brock Purdy and all of his offensive weapons, Christian McCaffrey is going to get a lot of MVP hype. You take a look at this wide receiver core with Debo and Brandon Ayuk, and even this defense, Joey Bosa, Chase Young, the phenomenal secondary, the linebacking group. I mean, the 49ers are an absolutely exceptional team. It's not just by sheer out of luck. They got that number one seed. This is a phenomenal football team to watch, and I think they're going to get by the Philadelphia Eagles here, just with how beat up the Eagles are, with how they've been playing down the stretch. Again, I think they get at least one playoff win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I think their road comes short no matter who they play. It just so happens that I have them playing the San Francisco 49ers. And then you move on to a rematch of a game that lives in infamy. NFL fans, do we remember the illegal touching call? Of course you do. It just happened not even that long ago, and the Lions are going to be a team that is going to be seeking revenge, for lack of a better term, in that game. But I think with the uncertainty of Sam Laporta playing, he was a big part of what the Lions were able to do against the Cowboys there. I don't think the Cowboys offense looked the best that it could look in that game in the regular season. I think with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard and all the phenomenal weapons that Dallas has, I think Teron Bland, Micah Parsons make a couple of extra defensive plays. And sure, there may still be some controversy here, but I don't think there will be controversy in this one, as I do think the Cowboys, especially again, playing at home, you don't have to go on the road to play in Ford Field, as you may have had to if the Lions ended up getting that number 2 seed, which the Cowboys were able to take care of business, so they secured that home field advantage, is huge for them. This is just a wildly different team when you play at home, and I think this Cowboys team will meet the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. And then here we go. The final 4 teams, the top 2 seeds in each conference. And honestly, these 2 games are flat out coin tosses for me. I think these 2 games, if we get them, are going to be absolutely phenomenal, must-see TV, starting out with the AFC in the Ravens and Bills. Pure coin toss game for me. In fact, little preview, I think the winner of this game is going to win the Super Bowl. I'll just flat out say it right now. I think the winner of that game is going to win the Super Bowl. I think these 2 teams, with the way the Bills have been playing as of late and with the way the Ravens have been playing all season, with all due respect to the 49ers, Cowboys, and some of the other teams that we will see across the NFL playoffs this year, I believe the Ravens and Bills right now are playing like the best 2 teams in football. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal matchup. Pure coin toss game for me, but I think the MVP and just the playmaking ability of Lamar Jackson and the sort of wizardry, if you will come to life. And again, Josh Allen, who knows if the interceptions are going to flare back up. He has been turnover prone at times this season, and I think John Harbaugh's squad in the Baltimore Ravens will be heading back to a Super Bowl where I think they're going to get a very, very familiar face here. That Lions game, I think, is going to really tire out the Dallas Cowboys. And again, now you have to go on the road and play the San Francisco 49ers. I don't think they're going to have that tough of a time matching up with the Philadelphia Eagles, especially with how injured and how just absolutely decimated this Eagles team is looking right now. I don't think that's going to be as much of a dogfight as it may be if both those teams were fully healthy. So I think San Francisco is going to be fairly well rested here, playing on the road. Dallas is just not as good of a team by any stretch of a mile as they are at home. And I think we do get a rematch of the Super Bowl back in 2012, 2011, one of those 2 years, the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the caveat that I will point out with this is if the Niners do happen to go up against the Los Angeles Rams and the Cowboys end up meeting them there, I think the Cowboys are going to be able to win that game, as the Niners are going to be a little bit more beat up. They're going to be a little bit more slowed down, as the Rams are really going to take it to them. But this is the matchup that I think is going to be highly anticipated in the Super Bowl, and it's what I see happening as well. Again, the Bills are playing like one of the best 2 teams, but across the entirety of this season, you look at the Ravens and you look at the 49ers, and you cannot pick 2 better deserving teams to make the Super Bowl. They have been the best 2 teams all season long, and I do have them matching up in Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Now, again, hopefully the lights don't go out here. Reference back to what happened in the previous Super Bowl when they met, but you compare both of these 2 teams. I think they match up really, really evenly. Defensively, both these teams can make a lot of plays defensively. Both of them can create pressure, can force turnovers, and they can defend the pass. Both these defenses can as well. When you take a look at offensively, a lot of phenomenal weapons, some really good wideouts there for the Baltimore Ravens. The run game has been serviceable enough to really make a huge difference, take some of the load off of Lamar Jackson. And when you go back and look at the San Francisco 49ers weapons, sure, they probably have the better weapons with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, everyone like that. But I think Lamar Jackson is just having himself a really special season, and I think he's going to cap it off with a ring. I think John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens get to Super Bowl 58 and not only get there, but they win Super Bowl 58 and will be Super Bowl champions. I absolutely love this Ravens team this year. They have beaten the brakes off of pretty much every team they've played, at least down the stretch. You could argue they're playing their best football right now. Now, they do have an extra week to really prepare and see who comes into that game, which could lead to their detriment, especially if they do get a team like the Dolphins, which, again, they beat up on, or especially like the Browns, like I'm predicting, a divisional opponent that has seen them multiple times, that has beaten them once, that knows really what this team is made of. But I think this team is playing too good. Lamar Jackson is having a special season. This is a defense that statistically is the best in football. I love this Baltimore Ravens team. And that's the team that I have winning Super Bowl 58 in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. But boy, these are my NFL playoff predictions. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal NFL playoff season. I cannot wait to watch the NFL playoffs again. They start on Saturday. So let me know what you guys think. Who do you have winning the Super Bowl? Let me know all of your thoughts on the NFL playoffs in the comment section below. We'll get back to college football content. I'll release my way too early, but in fact, it's never too early to release a way too early top 25. That'll come out tomorrow. And let me know if you guys want to see me do content on the UFL coming up in spring. But with all that being said, remember to play hard but tailgate harder, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.